but welcome back to the POPCAST. If you don't remember, I'm Alicia, and on this podcast we talk about popular music and popular culture. Very broad. Listen to the intro episode, you want to hear a very, very terrible explanation of what that means. Sorry, I'm bad at explaining things. I'm sure there are plenty of people elsewhere who can explain it much better than me. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm very bad at this. I don't know. This is very awkward for me still. I don't know. But thank you for coming back. This week, sorry, I keep slipping down the chair, and I don't want to fall off the chair mid-recording. I already fell down the stairs already this week, being at my apartment, so I don't want to fall again. Guys, I'm very clumsy, very accident prone. All my friends and family know this, but you don't care about that. You don't care. I'm accident prone, and yeah, it's been a very interesting week. Again, you don't care. I'm leaving all this in because I added this, and I can say I can leave whatever I want in. Yeah. What was I saying? Okay, yeah. So this week. Oh my god, I'm trying to keep this very chill because even though this is for a project and I'm trying to learn things from this, I'm not a very serious person. I can be when need be, but I feel like when we're talking about music, we're talking about Beethoven and stuff, you don't have to be so serious. You don't have to keep it all what does that sound? You don't have to keep it prim and proper. I'm not a professor. I'm not a scholar. I'm just a 22-year-old person who likes to talk about music and gets to on a podcast. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to keep it if you guys were sitting in my living room and I wanted to talk about music and I made you listen, that's what this is. So that's what I'm going to be like. My roommates all know this very well. And if they're listening, they're probably yeah, we know. But yeah. This week we're talking about genre. A very long-winded intro. We're talking about genre. Very broad, I know. But genre in terms of what is genre? Is genre still a thing? What makes certain music fall into a certain category? And how in recent years the idea of having a specific genre has kind of gone away. Because I've noticed it. I'm sure many of you who listen to music that's come out in the last even year have noticed a kind of shift in artists not sticking to a specific genre, and not only that, genres bending, genres morphing into each other and changing and different things like that. I definitely have noticed it in the world of pop punk and stuff, and what I listen to. I've noticed it in the pop stuff I've heard. I'm gonna talk about pop on a bit more in terms of how that genre, well, it has a sound, maybe not specifically has a sound, if that makes sense. Might make sense when I actually get to that topic. As I'm sure you've all known, they're people ask you, that made no sense. I'm sure you're all very aware, when you're getting to know someone or whatever, and if you're people who listen to music, as probably a lot of people do, maybe not as much as me or someone else who's very much a music person, someone who wants to make their career writing about music, like myself. But oh, what music do you listen to? And it's very much they're probably looking for a specific artist or most likely a specific genre, because then they can kind of put you into a box. And putting a genre of music can also put music into a box, which I feel worked very well in the past. But nowadays it doesn't work very well. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today on this episode. Because I find that very interesting, something I like to talk about, because I find it hard to label what I listen to into genres, because even within my favorite bands, they don't really have a genre. So how am I supposed to listen, put my music taste in a box, in a genre, if even the artists I listen to don't necessarily put themselves in a box or a genre? So that's kind of what I want to talk about today, because I find it very fascinating, and I feel like as years go on, this has become something we even notice even more. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I don't know. It's not like there's gonna be like a cut or like a screen or anything. I'm just gonna continue talking. I'll give you what I think about genre. I could Google it. Should we Google it? Should we get the like Google definition of genre? And then like I'll give you what I like to think about genre. That sounds like a great idea. I have my phone right here. Why not do it? My phone and my laptop. Get out of the Sally Beauty website, because I was looking at hair dye. Again, you all don't care. Genre. Let's get the definition of genre from Oxford Languages. The first one that comes up: a category of artistic composition as in music or literature characterized by similarities in form, style, or subject matter. I think that's a very simple, easy to understand definition. I think that's probably what most people think about when people ask what genre, what they think about. I look at it as like something, when you think of something specific, those characteristics that you think of. So like when you think about like a like movie, when you think of like a action movie, those characteristics that you think of when you think of a action movie, or like when you think of a Marvel movie, or when you think about a rom-com, or like when you think of a TV show, when you think of a medical drama, when you think of a sitcom, like those things that come into your mind when you think of, oh, when I see that, I know it's this. So as far as music, when you think of like a boy band, which I do want to talk about boy bands probably on this episode, because if you listen to the first episode, you know I was and still am a big One Direction fan. But like when you think of like boys all dress the same, they dance, they have very like poppy, bubblegummy sounding songs. They'll look the same or like similar styles, or they'll wear the same colors or same styles of clothes. They'll dance in sync. They'll have what you typically think of like standards, like good looks, like that kind of stuff. When you think of like probably rock, you probably think of like guitars and drums and like louder music that has a bit more of a like grit to it, or like has a certain type of lyric, or like maybe you think of punk and like you think of like music that's very much political, or they're focusing on societal issues, and let's like maybe have a bit harder, maybe some screaming in it, like things like that. When you think of like something specific, or you think of emo and you think of like the dark clothes and the eyeliner and the sad lyrics and the things focus on mental illness and stuff, mental health. Like maybe think of specifically like My Chemical Romance or Panic at the Disco. Like those are like when you think of genre. When you think about genre, like when you think of certain things, the characteristics, images, sounds, ideas that come to your mind when you think of that specific thing, those are what make up a genre. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. That was a very long explanation. I'm very sorry. And for years and years and years, that has worked, because things, and still do to an extent, follow something very specific. They follow trends, and they follow, they have a formula that they follow. Like Marvel knows how to make a good Marvel movie. I don't watch Marvel, so this could be a very bad example. But like, or like, what's a good example? Like, like people who make action movies, they know what to put in it to make a good action movie and to attract the people who like action movies, because they like those fight scenes, they like typical plot lines like that. Or here's a good one, because if my mom is listening, she knows my opinions on this. Hallmark movies. You know when you're watching a Hallmark movie. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Hallmark Channel. If you don't know what the Hallmark Channel is, I suggest you Google this, because I grew up with this. Like, my mom, especially in the recent years, watching Hallmark Channel. Like, now it's all year long, but specifically Christmas time. Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but you know my opinions on this. And you know it's a Hallmark movie, one, because everyone looks the same in them. They have this or they have the same actors and actresses in every single movie. Like Candace Cameron Bure, you guarantee she's gonna be in there. One of them, a handful of them every Christmas season. There's another actress who I can't think of her name, but I see her. Lacey Chabert, I think that's who it is. She's gonna be in there. There's some guys that are in there. I don't know their names. Like actors who you're gonna find in there. It's gonna be that. There's gonna be maybe a child, little girl or boy who has a single parent because there's divorced or the mom or dad died tragically, like years ago, and they're raising them on their own. That sounded very bad. I don't mean it in a bad way, but this is what you're gonna find in a Hallmark movie. And like there's gonna be someone who's like come back to their hometown or get stuck in this like little small town around Christmas time or something like that, and the two people are gonna meet, and there's gonna be some issue, like someone's gonna be like kind of lying, or something's gonna happen, or like they're gonna have to like they're there for like research and they're like debating about going back to like their big city life or something, but the two people are gonna like fall in love, and it's all gonna end happily ever after. You can watch the first 5 minutes of a Hallmark movie and predict the whole plot, guarantee you. I saw TikTok people doing like bingos and like challenges and stuff with it. I think that's fantastic because it is so true. They're so cheesy, so predictable. But my point is, you know the things of a Hallmark movie, and whether it's Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, fall, spring, summer, winter, whatever, they have them for every single season at this point. They have New Year's. There's one that's like the Sisterhood Traveling Pants with a veil. I saw several previews of it over winter time when it was on, when my family had it on, at the Hallmark Channel on. You just know. You know. Okay. Sorry. My roommate just texted me, sorry. Rosalind, if you're listening, I just responded to your baby Yoda message. You guys want to know what that was? So I was leaving, getting ready to come to the studio to record, and somehow, like, I have a baby Yoda squishmallow, even though I'd never seen Star Wars, but I have it. It somehow, it was at the foot of my bed, and I had my coat on my bed. I just picked up like my stuff in my arms to come upstairs from my room to go leave, and I just threw it down the stairs because I didn't feel like going down there, and I had no idea where it landed. It's like, I guess it landed like right in front of our laundry door, like the door to where our washer and dryer is downstairs, which is where me and my roommate Rosalind, our rooms are. So it was just staring at her because she just got back from winter break, so she was very, very much in for a surprise. I'm leaving that story in. I'm sorry. It's my podcast. I do what I want. Hallmark movies. Yeah, so very much. You know, things, genres, you know. Got an idea? Okay. And so they very much are still a thing. They still work. Because there are very much people who like the typical things. They like what they like. And they like when things follow this stereotypical formula, which is completely fine. I'm not saying any band or movie or TV show or singer that follows specifically a pop style or a rock style or a rom-com or a sitcom is bad. No. I'm just saying that in recent years, people have been kind of deviating from those things. And specifically, I've noticed it a lot in music. And people have definitely noticed it in music. Very much so. So I guess what I want to talk about first is pop music. In sense of, while there is a stereotypical sound probably when you think about pop, and maybe even so more so in the bubblegum pop kind of sphere, if you know what I mean, like bubblegum pop, like very cheesy, not much substance, surface level lyrics, happy sounding kind of stuff. Touched on Pop by Charlie Hardig. I'm pulling stuff from this book. I will leave information about that book down below. I've looked at it a bit when researching for this podcast, because it breaks down, it takes like pop songs and singers and like stuff and breaks it down like musically and stuff. I don't know, it's really hard to explain. But I looked at it a bit, went for researching what I want to talk about for this podcast, and I pulled some stuff from this book. So I just want to make sure you guys know where I'm getting this information from. When I talk, book, it talks about how there's no distinct pop sound, and music will mold and change and take in other genres. Because if you think about pop just stands for popular. So, when you listen to like the top 40 radio or like what you consider pop music, you're not gonna listen to like, it hasn't sounded the same from year to year to year because it's what's popular has changed. So what you think about as pop music, there isn't necessarily a specific style that comes with it, if that makes sense. So like when certain things are popular, that's what you're going to hear a lot on the radio, or what genre is popular or style of music is popular, you're going to hear that a lot on the radio. I don't listen to the radio, so I don't know specifically what's popular at the moment, but I can bet you there's probably a good amount of music on there that a lot of the songs sound similar because they're taking what's popular, because people are listening to it and they're liking it and it's getting traction. So artists are molding their genres. Artists who fall into the pop music category, or artists that maybe are searching for radio play, or artists that fall into the pop genre or things like that, maybe will take kind of what's popular and add it to their sound. And yeah, so like there isn't a stereotypical pop sound within the pop genre because it's constantly molding and constantly changing, because they're taking elements from other genres that are popular and molding it to fit their style. And the artists that maybe you see are typically on the radio are adapting their styles to fit what's popular. Just a thought. I don't know. But like, I bet you if you listen to the radio, there probably are several artists that have similar sounds because those sounds are getting traction. They probably have a similar song maybe it's popular on TikTok. Foreshadowing to maybe our TikTok episode. Yeah. I don't know when that episode will come out. I haven't recorded it yet. I don't know what I'm talking about specifically. But maybe we'll talk about that TikTok episode. But there definitely are elements of pop songs that stay true for every single song that's probably popular on the radio or falls into the pop category, if that makes sense. But if you go back through time, you can't be like, that's a pop song. There probably are elements like upbeat or not too heavy on like guitars or drums. It's not gonna sound like specifically rock. Like there definitely are rock songs that like hit the top 40 charts, but you wouldn't consider them pop. And there probably are like certain lyrical styles and stuff that are typical among pop, but you're not going to have a specific genre elements of pop because it is constantly molding and constantly changing. If that makes any sense, that probably didn't, but I tried. And I guess moving into like probably one of the most noticeable things about pop music that is popular among is in most pop music that you hear, and probably why people are drawn to it, or why people listen to it, or why it gets traction or airplay or whatever, are the pop hooks. Again, I'm getting this from this Watched on Pop book. There isn't really a great definition of what a hook is, or like what specifically like what makes a hook or what is a hook. It's just something that we know, and something that when we hear it, we know what it is. So like it's a memorable feature that distinguishes it from other songs of its kind. So like it's a line or a part of a song that like gets stuck in your head, or you listen to it and you know it's that song. Maybe you know it's that artist, and it gets stuck in your head. And we know that it's essential for a pop song, but we don't necessarily there isn't necessarily a good definition of it, but you know that for a pop song to be a hit, it has to have that hook. It has to have that catchy chorus or that catchy line or that thing in it that gets stuck in your head, makes you think of it, and you know that's a good pop song because it does that. So that's one of the main things that like a pop song has, and something that like when you hear it, you know, yep, it has that hook, you know it's a pop song. Okay. So one last thing from the Switch on Pop book that I want to mention before like I delve into like some other things and when people have been talking about genre and necessarily with artists and also the listeners of music, because we gotta talk about the listeners, because that's part of popular culture, and that's the whole point of this podcast. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm so weird. Okay. So, well, artists may not fall into a specific genre, they definitely do want to have a specific sound that may change from album to album, from year to year, from iteration of the band or whatever. But artists will use certain elements oftentimes in their songs to distinguish them from other artists. So when you listen to it, you know it's an Ariana Grande song, you know it's a Doja Cat song, you know it's who else is popular? You know it's a Taylor Swift song, even though you just know it's Taylor Swift because it's a good song. We all know it. It's a good song, it's Taylor Swift. You know it's a Justin Bieber song, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I listened to a Justin Bieber's full album. So, I don't know. You know who it is when you listen to it, because it has that sound. It has something specific in the sound, in the song, in the way the instrumentation is, in the way the lyrics are written, maybe in the way the song flows, the style of it, whatever it is, you know it's that artist because they've developed that sound. And maybe to you that sounds like a pop song, or maybe it sounds like a rock song, maybe it sounds like a metal song, maybe it sounds like a folk song, whatever that is, but you know it's them because it has that sound. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope so. Really hope so. Because while the idea of genre might be going away, in my opinion, artists still need that in order to make themselves stand out, especially when so many people and artists nowadays are trying to fit a certain formula that's popular. They need something to make them stand out, or else they're gonna get drowned out in the world of music, especially in certain genres, in certain fields of music, in certain like fan bases or like fans of certain genres. Like if they just sound like a stereotypical whatever, and they're probably not going to get as much traction. Like I love pop punk. I love it. But if you know pop punk, you know there are certain things that you just hear again and again and again in pop music, especially maybe some of the older popular pop music and pop punk music. When like artists like Green Day and stuff got popular and they're developing the pop punk sound. If you go back to like the 90s and early 2000s, a lot of pop punk bands maybe sounded the same because they were all following a certain formula, certain like style of lyric, like I Hate My Hometown. And they all like kind of had the similar guitar riffs and drums and all of that. And so maybe it was harder to decipher a band from a band because maybe it sounded the same, other than maybe you recognize the lead singer's voice or something, or they had something distinct about them. So I feel like nowadays that's still the same with pop punk and other genres. Like if you're all trying to fit a formula that works, you gotta have something that makes you stand out. So yeah, we all agree? Do we all agree? Do we disagree? I don't know. So how does this relate to genre? Because genre isn't a thing? Question mark. It is a thing, but it's not a thing. If you're not going to, if you're still going to mold to a genre, specifically, this is what I'm trying to get at. If you're going to try and mold into a genre, if you're going to try and fit into that niche, that label of rock or folk or pop, air quotes around pop, see previous statements on this episode. If you're trying to fit into pop punk or blues or metal or something, you're trying to fit into that specific mold, you're gonna need something to make you stand out, or else you're gonna fall to the wayside. You're gonna get mixed in, and maybe you won't get as much traction. That's just a theory. You may be really great, and you may be like, you're gonna fit that genre well, and you're gonna be the best at that genre, and you're gonna hit it big. Cool. But maybe not. I don't know. Okay? So, how does this all relate to popular culture? Oh my god. So I guess what I'm going to hit at with popular culture in this episode, with genre and popular music, is the idea that in today's world of music, genre, what artists are making and what people are listening to is not so black and white. We've only been talking for like 30 minutes or something, and I'm finally getting to like the main point of this podcast, which is popular culture and popular music. Okay. So, yes. I will link the article below that I'm pulling some of this information that I'm going to talk about from. Because I want y'all to know where I get this information. Because when I was reading this, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So this article talks about like studies, maybe it's one specific study, that was done, as far as like what people are listening to, specifically younger people. I forget the exact age range, but I believe it talked about a lot of like Gen Z and millennials, and what music they're listening to and what music people are making, and kind of why, or kind of how the idea of what artists and what people are listening to are making don't necessarily fall into a specific genre. They did point out an increase in listening to rap music, specifically among Gen Z. And possibly a decline in listening of emo and punk with the explosion of K-pop. Those are, again, genre names, but probably a lot of artists that are being put into that genre don't fall into that category. And that's, I did point that out. It referenced Machine Gun Kelly. If you guys know him, he's a rapper from Cleveland. Again, I'm from Cleveland. I talked about that in my first episode, but I'm from Cleveland, so I like to shout out my Cleveland people. Well, I'm from like 20 minutes away from Cleveland, but if I say where I'm from, people are like, what? I'm like, I'm from Cleveland. Yeah, he, for a long time, was very much rap music, made rap music. But in his last album, which I believe came out in 2020, I believe, he fell into like the pop punk category. He switched it to more of a pop punk sound with like guitars and all that stuff. Travis Barker, if you know him from Blink-182, did a lot of work on that album, and a lot of artists who are kind of coming into like the pop punk style are working with him a lot, because Blink-182 was a pop punk band, is a pop punk band. So they put him on our track, and it makes it more pop punk with the drums. So yeah. I'm trying to think. So yeah, use that example of like artists switching genres. A lot of this I'm going to talk about on the TikTok episode, so I don't want to like get too into it. But artists nowadays are kind of just taking more risks. Like they are taking what they normally do and adapting it, changing it, making it more what they want to listen to, what they want to make. And people aren't listening to one specific genre anymore, as pointed out in this article. Like, people aren't just listening to country. They're not just listening to pop. Because of the available ways to find music nowadays, because of social media and technology and apps like TikTok and Spotify, and they're just able to find so many new artists. People aren't listening to one specific genre anymore, and that probably also has an effect on why artists aren't feeling the need to stick into a mold anymore, because their fans aren't just like, oh, we only listen to stereotypical country music, so they have to make music that sounds like what they've always made. Their fans maybe are listening to things that have more of a pop influence. Maybe they're listening to things that have more of a rock influence, or have a more of maybe a heavier influence, or maybe something different. And so they're like, oh, we can make this thing that we've always wanted to make, because people aren't listening to just one thing anymore. And thus, artists aren't feeling the need to stay in that box, and maybe they're just doing it just because they want to remain relevant. Again, we don't know what goes on when they make this music, but we can probably have an idea that when artists are making music, they probably are wondering what's going to reach the most amount of people, what's going to appeal most to their fans, and what they want to make. There's some artists who make that more important to them. So if their fans are listening to more different things, they're probably going to branch out and try new things. Or if they're like, I just want to make what I want to make, and they're going to make some mishmash of pop, rock, rap, country, all in one song, they're going to do it because that's what they want to do. I mean, think of Old Town Road. That was a rap country crossover, and it worked really well. It worked very well. There's so many remixes of it. It launched Lil Nas X into stardom, and he did that because he wanted to, is my guess. Probably was with their influences, but he wanted to do that, and he did it. He took a risk, and it worked incredibly well. And artists probably saw that. They're like, oh, they can make this weird sounding rap country mix, and it was number one. Okay, I'm gonna do that too. Just a thought. Yeah. So, and yeah. Oh my god. I know, like in my own life, I have a hard time classifying what I listen to. People ask what I listen to all the time, and I give them like, oh, I like pop punk, I like punk rock, I like emo, alternative, I don't know. But if you go through what I listen to, there's a hot mess of stuff in there. Sure, there are the pop punk artists, and there are the punk artists, and there are the like rock artists. But there's some people that you look at, they're like, what is that? What music do they make? I'm like, I have no idea, but it works, and it does so well. Like Waterparks, for example. If you don't, many of you listening, I don't know who Waterparks is. But they are a band that's very starting much have a pop punk influence. And when people ask me to describe them, I'm like, they're pop punk, pop rock, electronic band that also isn't that makes great music. And it works. They have a really good fan base. Very, like, it's only getting bigger. And each album, I'd say, has a distinct sound on it. And they're making what music they want to make. Specifically, the lead singer, Austin, he has music that he wants to make, lyrics he wants to write, and sounds he wants to experiment with. And it works. Some people may not like it. I like it. Their fans like it. And it's doing very well for them. And even within the album, there are songs that don't sound the same. They're like, this is very different from everything else in the album. I'm like, but it works. It very much works. Which I think a lot of artists nowadays are seeing that experimentation worked. I think COVID, they got bored in their house and they were like, I want to make something cool, and they did. Then they're doing it, and it works. I think that our artists on the charts are probably doing that too. Who are like, I for a long time made certain music, and now I want to do something different, and so I'm doing it, and it works, and people are listening to it. Like, I think we are seeing songs nowadays that maybe I think nowadays people are willing to expand their interests more, and they're looking elsewhere. They're looking at many different places to find new music, and they're finding really cool stuff that doesn't fall into a genre that maybe they wouldn't have years ago, like because of Spotify. I think Spotify is very much a big player in that. I mean, if you like the recommended stuff, like, they definitely do tailor to what you listen to, but you can go on so many different playlists and find so many different things. Like, they have playlists for different categories of music and moods, and people are creating, like, you can find so many playlists that other users on Spotify have created, and you're like, what is this weird stuff? I like it. And then you look more into that stuff, and they're like, this doesn't sound like anything I've ever listened to before, but it sounds cool. Does this make any sense at all? I hope it did. I don't know. I don't know if this made any sense. Oh my god. TikTok. Guys, I don't want to talk about too much TikTok's influence in music right now, because I do have a whole episode that I want to dedicate to TikTok. But people are finding music on TikTok. People are releasing their music on TikTok. People are experimenting with sounds on TikTok, and it's working. So I mean, I think nowadays young people are listening to more things. People who are making music, new and upcoming artists who are making music, are not going to fall into a specific genre. I heavily think there will be people who will, and because they know it will probably be successful. There are people out there who like what they like, and they like something that they know, and people who like what they know, and they like what they hear, and they're gonna stick to that. And there are artists who are gonna fall. We're gonna do that. We're gonna make music to appeal to those people. There are gonna be people who make music that fall into specific genres. Artists upcoming, maybe artists that have been around for a while, because they're like, I don't want to change, and that's totally fine. And I don't think there's anything wrong with genre. I just think there are many people in the younger generation who are trying to find music that speaks to them and music that they like, connect with, and they're not searching for a specific genre. Yeah, I know I said I have to talk about boy bands, but maybe I don't want to talk about boy bands. I just think when you think of a boy band, you know what a boy band is, and I think nowadays, I don't know how successful a stereotypical boy band would be. Of course, we got K-pop. K-pop is something totally different. I don't even want to touch K-pop because I don't know much about K-pop, and the K-pop community is so outspoken and so strong, and I just know K-pop is popular, and I talked about it in one of my classes last semester, and it's very popular. There's definitely formulas to it. There's like idols, and there's companies behind it, and there's so much behind it. That's something totally different, and that's how no reference to like nothing what I'm talking about as far as drama goes, because that's something totally different. That's its own category of things. But I think nowadays, a pop boy band may not be as successful. Like, I know there's Why Don't We? That's the big one right now. They definitely have had great success, but has they been successful as One Direction or Backstreet Boys or New Kids on the Block? I don't know, because I just feel like they haven't had as much of a bigger influence on popular culture as a whole. I could be totally wrong. I just feel like we always heard about One Direction and what they were doing in the news. Like, they were all over pop culture and like entertainment and stuff, whereas I feel like boy bands that have come about in the past years haven't. I feel like there's very much a niche audience for that among younger generations, college kids, high school age people, teenagers, young adults, tweens, all that. But I'm wondering if how popular culture and music has shifted, if a band were to come into the public eye, or like try to make it big now, who falls into like what a One Direction or a Why Don't We or a Backstreet Boy band style would fall into, would that be as successful? And I don't think they would be. I still think there is a market for it. I don't know how successful, if there is still much of a draw to that. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know. I've fallen back from it. I don't follow the boy band scene as much anymore unless it relates to One Direction and their solo careers. So I could be totally wrong. I could be. But I'm thinking, because there has been such a shift in what people are drawn to and what is popular, I don't know if that would be as successful. I'm open to discussion about that. I definitely am, because as someone who was one of the biggest One Direction fans and still is, I'm definitely very open to that discussion and people's opinions. If you are a fan of Why Don't We and do follow up and coming boy bands, talk to me. I'm very open to that discussion, because I'm very interested to think if they would be as successful. So I guess what I'm saying is, people are more open nowadays. What people listen to, what young adults are listening to, isn't always so black and white. What artists are making isn't so black and white. You can try and put them in a genre just because that works. Because that's what we've known. That's what works. That's what we've grown up. That's what society, what culture likes to put people and artists and things in boxes. But I think nowadays we're moving away from that. We're moving away from that in so many elements of life, and music is one of those. We don't always fall into that specific category. We don't always listen to that. We don't always listen to, oh, I just listen to country, so I'm just going to listen to A, B, and C. Oh, I just listen to rap, so I'm going to listen to A, B, C. I don't just listen to R&B, so I'm going to listen to A, B, and C. People are listening to things from all over. Artists are making things from all different genres. So I think to understand popular music and how it's affecting popular culture, we need to understand that subject. And I think there has been research and stuff, if you look at things that have come out recently music-wise, and things that things are showing that the culture and society and social media and all of the things are showing that. That doesn't mean that there isn't a sound. That doesn't mean that you can't just be like, oh, this all sounds the same, but it doesn't have a genre. Because definitely, if you listen to some music that's come out recently, like, especially in, like, what's coming out in, like, the pop punk scene and stuff, it definitely has a similar sound, but maybe it doesn't follow the specifically pop punk genre. So does that mean there's no genre, or does that mean genres are changing? It could mean both. I know. Did I just change everything I just said? I don't know. But I think there isn't a right or wrong answer. I think to understand music today, you need to have an open mind, and you need to get out of the idea of what a genre is. And I think that's what needs to happen. I think that's very much the way things are going. I think that's very much what artists are trying to get people to understand. I think artists are tired of falling into a box. They want to make what they want to make, and there are definitely artists who don't. They know what works, and that's what they're gonna do. And people are gonna listen to what they want to listen to, and whether that's something weird that has 10 different genres, or that's very much, no, I like my typical, Taylor Swift sounding stuff, or I like my what's a popular country artist? I don't know. I like my Carrie Underwood, so I'm gonna listen to my Carrie Underwood. Is she still popular? I love Carrie Underwood growing up. I still kind of do. So I don't know. I know she's still making music. But I think nowadays people are changing. So yeah. This is so okay. I don't know. I wanted to talk about the emo and the pop punky stuff more, but that's a big TikTok thing, so I think I'm gonna leave it for the TikTok episode. And like talk about e-boys in that episode, because I get it, but I still don't get it. Okay. Did this make any sense? I'm sorry if this made 0 sense. I don't know how long this episode is. But like I said, I will leave links to this article as I talked in that book I talked about in the stuff below, so you can check it out if you're interested. But yeah, and as always, feel free to reach out to me on any form of social media, email. Can you leave comments on this page? I still don't know. Because I'm open to it. Very much open to it. I'm into open discussion. Just, I ask you be respectful, and I'll be respectful back. So yeah, and if you have anything you want me to talk about on this podcast, feel free to shoot me a message on email or social media. As always, my social media links will be linked down below. But you can follow me on Instagram at Alicia Kabasic. You can follow me on Twitter at Alicia Kabasic 13. And you can follow me on TikTok at Alicia Kabasic. And my email will be down below as well if you feel more comfortable reaching out on that. I check that very, very much, very often. So yeah, I hope you have a great day. I hope you find some new music you like, and it's not a genre, because what is genre? The genre still exists. Who knows? But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll talk to you all in my next episode. Bye.